we wish that there's a particular center that would help them do that, no? So basically po, what is CITL? It's a faculty support and it's an enabling hub. So ladies and gentlemen, may I give you our resource speaker for this webinar, Engineer Rujin V. Marcilia.
So because what we are going to talk about today is we will try to revisit we will try to revisit how is the curriculum being created per program, and as well as we will revisit some or a bit of the OBE. No, we'll revisit the OBE framework of the university. This is the OBE framework or the outcomes-based framework of the USTP. These are actually coming from the inputs from our different stakeholders.
First of all, I would like to thank CITL, headed by Dr. Dinagsao. Salamat kay ma'am sa inyong webinar you offer.
Please have an open mind for us to adapt. This is for all of us to survive and still attain our goals, especially for our students.
Everyone, God bless po, and please stay well.
But OBE implies the best way to learn is to first determine what needs to be achieved. And this course outcomes in this framework is now the basis in our assessment and evaluation and your learning environment. And lastly po, the curriculum map is a guide for the faculty. It is a guide for us.
We don't
But OBE implies the best way to learn is to first determine what needs to be achieved. And this course outcomes in this framework is now the basis in our assessment and evaluation and your learning environment. And lastly po, the curriculum map is a guide for the faculty. It is the guide for us.
We don't need now expertise, no? So therefore, we have to make use of well-studied teaching and learning pedagogies. In distance learning, the physical presence of the teachers is replaced by the learning material. In the course guide, you will also here, no? You will see that there's week, and then what are the topics here, what module are they working on, and what exactly are the activities there.
What do we mean by assessment? So anything that you do that will help you infer about students' learning. That maybe students create their PowerPoint with narration or with their video explaining their output. But you can use debates in the discussion forum in the learning management system.
When you write these tasks or activity for your students, especially during online, the instructions should be clear and written in such a way that the instructor is talking to the student.
a performance test is better than having a written test, or written is more powerful than performance test. A task is a piece of classroom work, no? But the operative word is engagement. Tell explicit step-by-step directions, relate in a cohesive manner to the task before and after it, and progress to a higher level of Bloom's taxonomy.
Most of the time, I craft my rubric from scratch because I want my rubric to really fit the context of my assessment. Next is that we establish a contract with our students as to how they will be graded. Again, this is to give them awareness of the grading procedures.
There are several articles by Bellon and York. They said that feedback is an essential part of effective learning, and it gives them clear guidance on how to improve. The different types of feedback. First, you have to provide a variety of feedbacks to our students. So, always use the sandwich approach when giving feedback.
So when we give or when we create our rules or your rules, we must or you must stick to your rules. So this is some of the example on how I prepare the activities for the whole semester. So one of the example also on the follow-up session of our schedule. So before the COVID-19 pandemic, I already used this social media to communicate with my students.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us this afternoon for this very special innovative teaching series session, which is on sharing the flexible learning teaching experience. So in this afternoon, CITL is hoping that you would enjoy and you would also learn something from our speakers this afternoon. Okay, so without further ado, okay ra ba mag-start na ta? No? Pero before that, I would also like to encourage also, rather acknowledge the deans and directors and the department chairs who are here, and also all of you who are attending this session right now. Okay, so for this afternoon session, a minute. Okay, so this is the flow of our webinar. So we will first have the preliminaries, and then we will have the rationale, then the sharing part 1, then we will have a brief interlude, the sharing part 2, and we will have the processing and the Q&A if you have something to ask, or if you would like to, also share something that you would like to, you would like the other instructors to learn from. No, so pwede pod ngayon because our goal in this session is to have this collegial sharing, diba? So we will also then have the synthesis and the closing, and then the virtual pictorial later. Okay, so let us proceed with the preliminaries. So here are some important webinar reminders. So please use your real names for security purposes, so we can verify if you are part of the organization. This will also prevent us from letting in crashers, flashers, and potential hackers in the meeting. And also allow us to mute you during the meeting. This is to ensure that no ambient noises will distract the speakers and you, the listeners. And we also encourage you that you will be using your earphones so that you can clearly hear the speakers' discussions, and that you can ensure focus during the session. You may use the raise hand feature if you want to clarify something, or you can also use the chat feature. You can just type in your question or points of clarification there. Okay, and then we encourage everyone to turn on their cameras, so we could also feel, and that the speakers would also feel that they are that you are around, no? That they're talking to you live. But if ever mangani nga intermittent ang internet connection, that's okay, that's understandable. You just remain your cameras turned off, and then later on in the virtual pictorial, we will let you turn it on po. Okay, and should you be cut off from the meeting due to intermittent connection, just log back in. Okay, and this session, by the way, is recorded. So if you notice kaganina, pag start ng recording, basi na yung gawas nga notification that is asking for your consent. Okay, that this session is recorded and that your face is here. No, and after this, certificates will be sent and also the evaluation link as well. Okay? Sige. So, to start with our session proper, allow me to introduce to you our program head, kabalo ko kaila na mo ani niya, no, to give us the rationale of this sharing FLT experience. Allow me to welcome Engineer Eileen A. Sheras. Yes, ma'am.
Yan, okay. Okay, good afternoon po. Sorry, naka-unmute pa din. Okay, good afternoon everyone. Okay, the CITL office led by our director, Dr. Amphi Dinagsao, is conducting this program, sharing of best practices in using various platforms. Because we want to recognize our fellow faculty who are doing a unique or unusual performance in his or her class that may inspire us to their fellow faculty to do the same or to give us a hint that may apply it in our classes also. We really appreciate those kind of faculty that they give their extra na effort yun kaayo that will really amaze us. So in this program, we have our 4 speakers to share their experiences. But then how do we choose these 4 speakers? We did some searching portion to our USTP faculty who are doing this unusual performance to comments or verbatim from their chairperson, co-faculty, and students also. Or kanang bang nangita mi og kanang chismis ba? Chismis nga kanang parang positive and inspiring chismis, of course. Kanang when we listen to them, makawaw jud mi sa ilahang gibuhat. Og nakapangutana mi in ourselves nga ngano nga daghan man nga mag-join sa iyahang klase. Ngano man nga naay mga interaction sa iyahang mga students maski online, no? Og giunsa man kahani pag-discuss ni ma'am og ni sir nga naa may interaction ang mga students. Kana siya nga mga butang. Later on we will hear it from our speakers. So because we all know that in this pandemic kita man gyud tanan mga faculty, we are thinking of possibilities or strategies to reach out our students. Kaning ato ang mga maximum leniency ba? Kaning ato ang mga pagsabot sa ato ang mga estudyante. But then kaning atong do these online platforms are enough nga atong gihimo kaning ato ang mga LMS or learning management system, kaning atong mga USTP, Edmodo, Google Classroom, Facebook, kaning and other platforms, enough ba kaha ni para kanang ma-inspired or kanang mo join jud ang atuang estudyante maski nga hinay iyahang internet connections or kaya kanang iyahang pang-load, but then nagdo effort yun ang estudyante nga maghimo siya sa iyang assignments, do activities, mga interactions during the online classes sa iyang faculty. So siguro natay kana siya nga part ato siguro nang tan-awon nga part kay murag naa na siya kulang. There is a gap between that one kay I think as what we have heard from our speakers during our kanang istorya namo, no, kani nga mga online platforms I think it's not really enough nga para nga we will encourage our students to visit or to join our classes, our online classes. No, naapamagyud day mga pamaagi. So to help us or to have our self-evaluation sad no kung naa ba gyud ta sa right track of doing these things now and delivering our online classes. So we will listen to our four speakers here to share their experiences on how they reach out to their students during this pandemic. Hope that you will enjoy listening and be inspired from our speakers. And to our four speakers, thank you very much kay sa walay pagduwa-duwa, wala jud nagbalibad sa mga ano, and then we really amazed gyud sa ilaha. Hope nga nasa tay makuha from them also. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma'am Eileen. As excited as you are, we are also excited, no, to hear from these speakers. Now, also allow me to share that the speakers will just be sharing 20 minutes per topic. So dili gini siya tanan no nga ma-discuss gid nila fully, but what is important here is we get some highlights and very kind of useful na mga tips no, that we may apply in ourselves depending on the context that we have with our course and the context we have with our students. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce the first speaker. Okay, allow me to share my screen first so that makita ninyo. Okay. So our first speaker will be sharing to us about how he created engaging modules, no? So kani din pag-create sa modules, no, dili lang di ay nga pag nakita na tong format dadto mauna to siya. Pwede pa di ay nga mas engaging pag di ay siya depending sa giunsa nimo pag-create. So please help me welcome Dr. Cordolo P. Ascanio from the College of Science and Mathematics.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, before I am going to share my experience about how I created my modules, I would just like to give some preliminaries also of what subject I am teaching and what departments I am engaged with this semester. So presently, I am actually teaching subjects, microbiology in the Department of Environmental Science and Technology. And I am also teaching microbiology and parasitology in the Department of Science Education. So all in all, I actually have 96 students, and of which 34 are under the BS Environmental Science, major in EMT, and 62 students under BS Science Education. And for your information, people, this is the first time that I handle these students. No, they don't know me, I don't know them, they have not seen me yet in person, and I don't see them also in person. So that in itself is a challenge of how will I win the battle. I can say that it's a battle because it's actually our first time really to encounter this kind of scenario. We are all strangers. So the barrier here is just the screen. So how will I get in touch, be connected with my students wholeheartedly, and how my students will be able to feel that I am sincere, that I am concerned, that they're also concerned and sincere with the kind of communication that we will be having. So the topic that I am going to share with you this afternoon is how I created engaging modules. So that would be my first slide. All right. So let's now move on to the second slide. Okay. All right. So I am sure that, yes, that is my topic, how I created engaging module. So that's really very um, challenging. So I'm sure as educators, you will agree with me that indeed, student engagement is the paramount of high quality learning experience. That's actually our goal. How are we going to attract students? How are we going to, to instill optimism despite this scenario that we are experiencing this time? So based from definition, when we talk about student engagement, we are actually talking about psychological investments, no, from our students. What are these investments? This refers to degree of attention, curiosity, interest, including passion that the students show when they are learning or being taught. And this definition is, of course, coming from the Glossary of Education Reform. So you see, these attributions really are so challenging on the part of the faculty. On my part, for example, why? Because there is this transformation from a classroom to an online video conferencing through modular approach, so that it itself is a challenging for everyone involved. So these persons involved here are, of course, the faculty and the students. So students have, of course, to make extra effort to stay engaged amid distractions at home, and to the faculty, most importantly, how I am going really to attract my students. So in other words, I really have to make an extra effort to engage my students effectively. So it is so sad to note that we are now in a pandemic, and that in itself adds up to the challenges that teachers are facing this time. So the only instrument that I consider very crucial, very vital is, of course, the type of module that I am making, because that's the first instrument that my student will be seeing the moment they open the USTP. So the next slide would show us, what should my module be like? No? What should my module be like? So that would be the first question that comes into my mind. Unsa man nga klase nga module ang ako ang himuon kay para maka-attract gid ko sa akong mga estudyante. So next slide please. All right. The third slide. So that's the question. What should my module be like to really attract my student? So there are these three words that just came up, or gumigawas lang kalit sa akong una-una, that my module must be segmented, this must be informative, and apart from that, importantly, this module must be fun. So these are the three important words that I consider my kining pusil, kumbaga, para maka-attract ko og attention sa ako ang mga estudyante. Segmented because, the topic really is very technical. It's actually a major subject, so I will be introducing technical terminologies. And so therefore, I have decided that the topic will be segmented, and these will be divided into shorter sequences. And each segment should have their own overview. They have a learning objectives, and at the same time there must be an introduction of the concepts and also some strange words. Informative because I am actually using a lot of resources here, maybe coming from mga recent research findings. I am also using videos, short video clips from YouTube, and I am also using lecture notes, including a lot of infographics. And aside from that, the most important one really is I have to see to it that the module that I am preparing will inject really fun. Fun because I have to see to it that every topic that I am going to deal with, I must inject, I must, I must involve my students in a way that they will be sharing their personal experiences, and that experiences of theirs will be integrated to the topic. So that in itself would engage them in my discussion. So we will see if their experience is good or bad, and if it is bad, how are we going to transform it into good so that it will be related to our topic. So these are the three important words that I have considered to really make my module engaging. It must be segmented, informative, and definitely it must be fun. So next slide, please. Okay, next slide. The next slide will actually show you the module that I have prepared. All right. So the first thing that comes in my mind, of course, when I prepare the module is that the module that I will be preparing must be very simple. Simplicity is the key, because when we simplify things, this avoids confusion. And I have to see to it that when I have my online lecture, I will simplify the terms, and I am going to make the topic more enjoyable. And of course, what have you noticed here? I have prioritized skills, and there are a lot of key points here. These are the concepts that I am going to drive at during my discussion. And also, I have here key terms. These are keywords that the students must really understand, so that at the end of the session, they will be able to fully appreciate the discussion that we've had and use the terms that we have mentioned during our discussion. And as what I have mentioned a while ago, this module that I have developed have so much information because I have a lot of infographics. These are just some of the examples. My modules is actually flooded with infographics. So my students will be guided, will be motivated, and they will be inspired. And at the same time, I also have I have to see to it that during the discussion, it's like I am just telling a story. Okay? Para dili gid sila mabore. And at the same time, I will inject their names. I will inject some names ng mga familiar nga mga personality kay para naagi engagement ug mag-enjoy sila. So these are actually some of the components of the module that I have prepared. Notice that I have these key points, I have these mga key terms, and I have a lot of infographics to really make sure that the students will enjoy and really appreciate and understand the topic that I am going to discuss. So the next slide is, so remember, simplicity is the key. Now that I have, you know what, I was so excited kung kanos agad mag-start ang first meeting. Because during that first meeting, dito na ko mahibalaan kung okay ba ang module nga ako ang gi-prepare. So prepared na pud ko sa posibleng libak nga akong madawat from the students. Prepared na pud ko kung unsay mga negative feedbacks nga ilahang hatag sa ako o prepare na pud ko unsay akong angayan nga himuon para pud sila ma-acknowledge nga naa sila something nga na-impart to improve the module that I am making. So this time actually, ang mga modules nako dili siya final. I still change this every now and then. This is of course depende sa pagsabot sa ako mga estudyante o depende sa ilahang mga inputs nga pwede ihatag sa ako. So now, I am so happy kay ang module nga ako ang i-prepare, nakasabot ang mga estudyante, nag-enjoy sila tayo. And not only that I am using the USTP, I have a lot of platforms nga gihimo, no? These platforms provides me with multiple avenues for communicating with my students. I have USTP as my main platform. I have Google Meet, and that Google Meet is actually used for my online session. And also, I have my messenger. The messenger is actually, the group chat is for specific concern per class. So, kining platform, lain-lain na ako ang function. No? Kung na ako sa general nga announcement, I am using the Facebook. Pero kung ang problem gani is per class, that's at the time that I am using the GC. Pero kung ang problem is very specific to my student, I am using the messenger. Personal messenger. I text them, I call them personally, individually. And also, I am using email for their submissions. So these are the different platforms that I am using. So what have you noticed here in the USTP? I have here my module backed up with my PowerPoint presentation, and also I have recorded lectures. Okay. Now, I am so very thankful with our chairman, Ma'am Alma Abog, because he kept on encouraging us to please provide a link with your lecture conducted in your Google class dito sa ato ang USTP, because that would help or somehow na alternative ang mga estudyante. So I am so very grateful to our chairman because of her support, because of her passion yun to really help improve our craft. And notice I have encircled here, no? Isa sa mga concerns nga ako adiri is nakakuha kog feedback sa mga akong estudyante. I did not ask them, but their feedback is positive with regards to the module that I am introducing to them. And at the same time, napansin ko nga naghatag siya suggestion nga mas maayo nga maghatag ko og teaser, short movie clip or a minute of motion picture sa amo ang GC kay para ma-encourage sila nga oy mao na dayon ang amo ang topic next meeting. So that in itself would engage other people to watch oy enjoy dato ang next topic. So these are the different platforms that I am using, and I find it very effective. And the next slide will show that to make my module more meaningful, I value students' individual experiences. Diri walay boredom. Diri mag-ilog ang mga estudyante sa pag-share sa ilang experiences. Diri nakita nako nga na-appreciate nako ang ilahang effort nga maningkamot gyud og pangita og butang para lang na ikapashow og ilahang ma-picture. So what have you noticed here? I'm not actually into online selling. Okay? I'm not into online selling. I have here different products because my topic is about, of course, my subject is all about microbiology, and I introduced here a lot of products, antiseptic and disinfectant. So I asked my student to pick one product, and I asked them how you use the product and why you use the product. So nag-ilog na sila. So ang uban nga wala in town nakakuha, diadto sila sa ilahang balay. So that's the time nga na-explore na nila ilahang balay nangita og product, and I have here a student carrying an antibiotic. An antibiotic, and iyahang pangalanan sa akuha og naapoy isa diri sa akuha naa sila'y tindahan, so nagkuha pod siya og vinegar. Og naapoy isa nga nagkuha og glutathione. So these are actually small gestures per individual, pero kung tapuko na nimo siya tanan mag-enjoy, tanan eager to share, and at the same time ma-relate nila sa amo ang subject sa microbiology. Okay, so I really encourage always my student to share those distinct experiences, and that really would make my subject matter fun, and it would really help my module more meaningful para sa ilaha. So my next slide would be another strategy that I am using. This is the most important, and it really worked a lot, and hopefully trabahoon pud ni sa atong kauban, no? I build relationships. No? As what I have mentioned a while back, I have not met these students personally. They don't know me, I don't know them. So this is the moment that I really have to build relationship. How? I communicate with them individually. Using the messenger, of course, it all started with the GC. And pag ma-feel na ko nga na something problem sa estudyante, mo proceed ko sa iyahang messenger, I personally talk to him or her. And kung taas-taas, that's the time that I will call her. And you know what? It is, I just say hi, I just say hello. Pero ang ilang response is not just hi and hello. Ang ilang response, isa ka paragraph. Okay? Paragraph nga makatap sa imuha and unsay sulod? Financial problem, family problem, health problem, depression, loss of interest sa ilang pag-study. So, this kind of strategy that I am making, mas naglaw mga akong understanding sa estudyante. I really appreciate them so much, but despite of the problems that they're experiencing, yet they still have time to get in touch with my subject, to engage with my subject, and at the same time, I really appreciate their being so open to me. Napagani isang wa ko kabalo nga siguro naminaw ang mama. Kay after sa among discussion, ang mama nag-message sa ako kung nakailab ako sa uyab sa iyang anak. So, pura og problema na ni nga dako. No? So, but the bottom line here is nawala na ang barrier. No? Wala man di ay barrier nga ma-build. Una-una ra di ay nato ng screen. Pwede di ay ta nga mo transcend, no? Mugawas na sa screen, and we have to build relationships. And through this breaking barrier, I am more open now to my students. They're now open to the experiences that they have. And at the same time, during my discussion, I have noticed that most of my students are very much active in the GC and the Facebook. So whenever I have my activity, whenever I have my games, I do that in the GC. And when na ako'y mga multiple choice, ng mga type of activities, kung kinsay mo daog, I gave them donut, I gave them burger, I gave them cash. It ranges from 100 to 500 pesos. And that is the reason why they're more aggressive really of getting in touch with me, and especially to my subject. And at the same time, the most important one here is I respond to students' queries instantly. Dili ko gusto nga paugmaan kay kabalo ko nga daghan pud sila yung mga subjects nga sa gubang, ug dili ko gusto nga mo add up sa ilang problema. So because of that, they're inspired, they're motivated, they're engaged, because I understand them, and they understand me also that there is this standard that we really have to follow. So I have here a proof. This will really show that my module really is working, my strategy is working based from the results of the prelim examination. Notice that a lot of my students passed the exam. All in all, 81.26% of my students passed the preliminary exam. And this is actually a full indicator that my students really are working so hard in order to pass the exam. And just recently, I already got the result of the midterm examination of my students from the education department. So I am so happy because the first section, out of 39 students, 36 passed the exam, or 92.3% passing. And the other section, out of 23, 22 passed the exam, or equivalent to 96.6% passing. So that is really very, I'm so elated with this. And you see, with my next slide, I am so very grateful because I have my students who are very generous of expressing my thoughts. Dili sila hakog sa paghatag og appreciation sa mga faculty members. And these simple nga mga gestures would really keep me motivated. They keep me motivated. So I motivate them, they motivate me, and it's a cycle. And I'm so thankful for this kind of opportunity because I have the chance of really sharing my experience, and hopefully you will be influenced, or you will be also encouraged to do the same, or if not, more pag yun. Okay, so before I will end, let me allow to say thank you to my chairman, Ma'am Alma Abog. he really is so passionate chairman of the department. No, thank you, ma'am, for constantly reminding us of being so considerate with the submission of our students, and you keep us uh, kining reminding you remind us always to provide alternative mode of delivery, especially sa mga students nga walay gadget. And of course, you always remind us that we are human. Nakapuyon, pero nag-enjoy gihapon. And at the same time, members of the DST family for always helping, especially me, nga sige lang pangutana because I'm not techie, gamay problema, text dayon. So naadayoy pool of individuals nga mutabang. That's the bayanihan really is counting, no? Is important to our department. And I would like, of course, to say thank you to CITL for, for sharing all your expertise, to the DTO, kay ikaduha, balik-balik dito, kay sige ko kalimot sa procedure, and at the same time to the administration, and most importantly to the students for inspiring me always to do better. So that would be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Long, for that very hefty and worthwhile discussion regarding your module and how you made it very engaging to the students. So without a doubt, your passion and compassion has contributed to the success of the students. No, as you have mentioned, I'd like to also reiterate what you have said, that the screen is just it's just something that we perceive na barrier na to, pero dili gyud ay no. We can reach out, we can actually do we can extend to our students in terms of helping them learn more, no. And katong mga gipambuhat nimo Sir Long no nga kanang mga infographics, no, it's very helpful for the students, especially that our students need to look at something, maka-kuan yun sila, maka-learn sila, not just through words but also images, no. So thank you for that very insightful sharing, Sir Long.
Okay, thank you also for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome po. Okay, so we're offered to a very, 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 very exciting and good start, no? So let's proceed to our next speaker, shall we? So our next speaker will be sharing to us his ways of creating effective video lectures, because I'm pretty sure na uban sa ato ang okay na ba to akong video lectures, no unsa kahay maayo nga video lectures ni gapangutana tagingonana. So to give us just that and to give us some important nga mga tips, no, kung giunsa niya paghimo o giunsa niya paggamit ang mga video lectures, here's Engineer John Ray B. Bahuyo from the College of Engineering and Architecture.
Hello, okay. Sorry, dili ko ka-unmute ka ganina. Pwede ko pa-allow og share screen, sir? Pa-enable ko share screen. Sige, while waiting. Pwede na, sir? Host disabled participant screen sharing paghihapon, sir. Allow participants to screen share. Or i-co-host baka ako, sir. Sige, while waiting.
That, sir? Kindly try daw po.
Okay, pwede na, sir. Wait, sir. There, I think makita naman siguro ninyo, no? All right, maayong hapon. Good afternoon, colleagues. I was very inspired by the sharing of Dr. Ascanio, no? Sa akong ka-inspire murag maulaw na kog present na noon sa presentation kay grabe kayo ka compelling o ka inspiration na lang iyang i-share about his experiences. So once again, my name is Engineer Bahuyo. I came from the College of Engineering and Architecture. Shout out sa mga kauban sa SEA under the leadership of our beloved Dean, Dr. Pabilona. And I also came from the Department of Electrical Engineering with our team captain, si Engineer Morcilia. So this afternoon, I'll be focusing more on creating effective video lectures. I'll also be sharing po some of my experiences sa class, but I'll be focusing more sa lecture videos. Disclaimer, I'm no expert when it comes to video editing. In fact, pang amateur pa ko ang editing skills, but I think that's also good because I'll be coming from a standpoint wherein makarelate ng kadaghanan kay dili man gid sad kita tanan maayo mag-edit og video. Most of us, in fact, dili kaayo gid nga nakateki when it comes to editing. Ako myself, I only learn about basic video editing pag start na sa online classes. I think around August dato na ko nagsugod o explore how to edit videos. So I'll be dividing my presentation into 3 parts this afternoon. First, I'll be explaining unsa ka importante gid ay ang videos sa ato ang online learning, sa atong online classes. Second, I'll be sharing some of my personal experiences, and then third, conclusion na dayon sa ko ang presentation. So unsa gid ka importante ang videos sa online learning? Upon listening sa sharing ni Dr. Scanio kaganina, nag-share po siya that he also shares short snippets of videos sa iyang classes, no? So it's also very very important. I'll just summarize it into 3. There are actually many reasons why we have to incorporate videos sa atong online learning. First, videos increase student engagement. You know, many people, especially young people, students, are visual learners. So ganahan sila makita og mga videos aside sa kanang mga modules lang, basahon lang nila nga mga text. And problem, especially ako coming from the College of Engineering, ang among gatubangon most of the time mga numero, no, and all those things. So it's also very kanang engaging kung makita ko as a student sa videos. Also, whenever we watch videos, it actually stimulates our cognitive process. What are these? Thinking, reasoning, problem solving, decision making, and creating. So things like that. Second, visual stimulation grabs students' attention. Sa ako pang ganina, mabura kayo ang attention span sa mga estudyante o sa kita in general as people. In fact, around 7 to 15 minutes ra nga to ang attention span. Beyond that, maglutaw na din atong hunahuna. I doubt no kung mabot og tag-isa ka oras sa atong mga online classes, siguro galutaw na siguro hunahuna sa atong mga estudyante ana. So it's also very important to check on how we also manage different ang online classes na pag-manage ato ang time, no, different po ng videos. I'm referring to kanang actual recorded video sa akong presentation karon. Next, video emphasizes digital literacy. So gone were the days nga traditional lang ato ang paghatag sa lecture, blackboard lang. Karon we also are in the age of technology. So very important kay we learn at least the basic sa video editing. In fact, before pa sa COVID, before pa sa online classes, some of us probably kay galet na sa itong mga students og submit og mga videos sa ilahang mga presentation, sa ilang mga project as part of our performance task. So sa una pod, na-witness po na ako, grabe ka, maayo nang kayo mag-edit atong mga students o mga videos. Ako pod personally, nag-try po ko learn pod sa basics. Now let me share my experiences in using videos nga i-incorporate na ako sa kuang online classes. I also used USTP and other pang mga platforms, but I also really incorporated mga recorded videos sa kuang classes. Isa sa platform nga akong gagamiton is ang Zoom. Kani ang Zoom mo ni siya isa sa pinaka-basic kaayo, pinakadali kaayo nga pwede nato gamiton when we record our videos for as lecture videos. This is one example. Dili gani necessarily nga kanang imong Zoom account kay naka-pro. Pwede ra siya katong basic lang na may record nga option dadto. What I do, especially kung mga problem solving nga mga topics, is that mag-record lang ko sa kong kaugalingon for let's say 5 to 15 minutes. Dili ko usually galapas og 15 minutes. Kung taas gid kay gid siya nga concept, ako siyang gina-divide into several parts. This is one way to shoot videos para pwede nimo magamit as a lecture video nimo. So dali ra man pud kaayo ang iyang processing. It only takes around mga isa lang ka oras in total pag-upload sa iya. Especially if kuan ra pod paspas ra pod ang imong internet sa inyong balay, no, pero kung medyo hinay ra sad gyud, so medyo lisod siya, dugay siya i-upload. Akong style lang guys, akong gaobsan ang resolution ug ang quality para aside sa dali ra siya i-upload, at the same time later on dayon ang student pag ilang tan-awon ang video, dili kayo dako ang makaon nga mobile data, especially kato mga mobile data dependent ra. Later ako ipakita unsa ang equivalent nga mobile data depende sa quality pod sa imong video. So this is one example. Muna siya ang isa sa pinakadali kaayo kay wala na kay kinanglan pa nga mga editing pa. As it is ragid ka, you're just doing your lecture sa Zoom and then record yourself and then upload the video. Akong style, ako siyang i-upload sa YouTube. So nako YouTube account and then akong gina-upload dito akong uban lectures. Also pod na po yung mga times, dili man pod ko always ga video. Na times pod nga aside sa nako gihatag sa ilang mga activities, na times nga ang akong Zoom nga session kay ako siyang gay Facebook Live. Pero mo ni siya ang advantage kung naka-pro ka nga account kay ma-Facebook Live nimo ang imong Zoom nga session. So what I do pag online classes, nagsabot naman mi no nga kanang Zoom ang among main nga platform, although dili ko ga-consume og taas gid kayo nga oras, pinakataas na siguro ng isa ka oras no. So akong gabuhatan, ako siyang gina-broadcast live sa Facebook group namo kay para katong putol-putol gid ilahang connection katong mga maglisod gid og kanang sulod sa Zoom, pwede pa nila balikan. Aside lugar ni sa katong lecture videos na akong gi-create, katong Facebook live in itself, pwede nila balik-balikan. So kung napod sila na-miss out ng mga topics or parts sa akong discussion nga gusto nila balikan, pwede ra kayo nila balikan. Also, pag mga ingana gani nga mga online classes sa Zoom, unya ako siyang i-broadcast live para dili sa guys sa boring nga puros ra pod sa lecture. Akong gabuhaton same gyapon sad kang Dr. Ascanio, ga-incorporate ko sa mga icebreakers ug mga games. So this is one example sa akong klase sa engineering mathematics. Nakoy pag-games sa ilaha, kaning nyo makita nga picture diri kay gipapangita nako sila sa ila sa kaning image sa USTP gym, ang mga MATLAB nga mga icons, nga mga symbols. So nagyap mo ko'y pa-prize gyapon sa makadaog. Pang icebreaker ani siya. Napo ko'y usay sit work nga ako siyang turn into an icebreaker or game. So like for example kani siya, this is a sit work nga graded sa tanan, pero sa first nga maka-answer kay nakoy pa-prize gyapon. Like for example kani siya gibotangan ako og twist kani siya nga problem. Ang answer ani kay maka-form sila og isa ka word. Like for example kani siya nga problem, once makuha nila ang upat ka terms ani nga matrix kay maka-form siya og word nga baso. So bring me with a twist ni siya. So first lang nga maka-answer, first nga maka-form sa word, magdala din sila for example at this problem baso niya ilada yung ipakita sa screen. This applies sa katong maka-turn og videos sa mga dili, ilara dayong i-chat dayon ang ilang answer sa chat box. Kung sa Facebook live namo, ilang i-comment dito sa comment section. So nasad ko yung mga pa-prize gapon nga load lang noon ako kay majority sa students kay naman outside sa Cagayan de Oro. Ang ako lang na-notice bitaw sad nga good thing kanang the students were able to practice generosity pod with their fellow students. Like for example, I have this one winner sa kung isa ka game, 100 peso load man ang prize ato. So nag-message niya sa kuha nga siya kanang sir, pwede nimo ihatag na lang sa kung cert kaning classmate so and so ang load tungaon lang nako sa ila kay sila ang mas nanginahanglan sa mobile data karon. So it's also good nga makadungog mga ingana nga they are also helping one another. So in also coping up sa kaning challenge sa online classes. So this is one example. Let me play this video. Short naman yung mga 10 seconds.
Baso answer ba? Billiver, sir. Billiver.
Asa man yung item?
Tada!
Bebe, unsa may answer, be?
Answered. ang C transpose is
So nga na siya, no?
275.
So after then,
25.
naka-form na siya, isa ka word. So bring me with a twist. Also, aside sa Zoom nga platform, mo may pinakasayon kay kayo nga pwede gamiton pang edit sa dog video. Actually, di lagani ka kinahanglan nga mag-edit. Second, akong gagamiton is KineMaster nga editor. Kani siyang KineMaster nga editor kay nani siya mobile version. So akong gabuhaton sa cellphone ra ko ga-edit. At first, lisod gid siya kay dugay ko mahuman, pero kato nakuha na nako ang sayon ra mo guys siya, sayon ra kayang KineMaster pag-edit. I don't know sa mga gagamit sa inyo ani no. Later on din na master na nako siya nga less than an hour na lang maka-edit na dayon ko og isa ka lecture video. Bisag asa ko whether gasakay ko sa sakyanan or kung sa akong gabuhaton, pwede ra nako siya masingit-singit kay ma-save ra man ang imuhang draft. So napakagyapoy panahon gyapon to do other things no. While also editing the video, and basic ra man kayo siya. Ang yarang pwede ka mag-attach og mga pictures or mga images o mga videos pod within your own video. So kana siya no. So this is also one editor nga akong gagamiton. Actually katura akong gagamiton Zoom lang and then kanida yung KineMaster dayon nga editor. So like for example, kani murag I think introduction man nata nako ni nga video. Good day class. This is Engineer John Ray Bahoyo, but you can call me Sir John. And I am your course instructor for EE312 or Numerical Methods and Analysis for EE. First of all, I'd like to express my excitement to journey with you in learning this course throughout the semester. Second, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that all of us are struggling with this pandemic situation and that online classes is quite a challenging thing to deal with. And by the way, I read all your comments. So kani siya kanan siya yung mga built-in nga mga filters kaning KineMaster. Pwede po ka magbutang-butang dira og mga subtitles. Normally usay pag naay concept nga akong i-present sa lecture video, gabutang kog mga subtitles. Usay pod mga kato, gabutang kog mga images nga mo-pop out lang sa akong mga kilid. So nga na no. Another example. At the end of the course class, I hope that we'll be able to achieve our course outcomes. First, we want to define, distinguish different orders and degree of differential equations. We also wish to solve different types of differential equations. We have ordinary differential equations, partial differential equations, linear and non-linear differential equations, homogeneous and non-homogeneous differential equations. And at the end of the day, how do we also apply all our learnings in our engineering field? During this situation, I know it's quite hard, but please bear with the situation, and I hope that you could still learn something out of this online class of the differential equations. And I can't wait for the day to see you all again in this classroom. See you. So yan na usay gasingit po kog mga inspirational sa kinalasan nga part sa video. Some important reminders lang siguro before I end. Number one, we should make recorded videos short, especially for lecture nga mga videos. At least 7 to 15 minutes. Aside sa katulagi, mubuo ra nga attention span sa mga bata, sa mga estudyante, pero tako sa kay i-consume nga mobile data for mobile data dependent nga mga students, ang longer nga mga videos. Bintaha ra kung mga naka-wifi sila. So that's one. The shorter, the better. Except siguro for very long kayo nga mga solutions. So like for example, I am teaching numerical methods. Tag-ask kayo siya solution. So look, what I've said a while ago, ako siyang usay na-divide into several parts kung pwede ra ma-divide. So second, by the way, this is the breakdown, no, depende sa quality sa video. Muna siya ang makaltas na data. So normally akong videos kay naaragid na sa 144 o 240 ang iyahang video quality kay para gamay ra pod ang iyang makaltas nga data. So notice less than 100 data. Less than 100 MB ang iyang makaltas nga data. Kay mubo ra man pod ang video. So kana siya no kung HD na gid imo ang editing o ang imong video quality na dako na gid na maburot diretso ilahang 1 gig ana. Also, it's also very important that you have to plan your content or your flow. Kung sa una normal pa nga klase nga sa atong classroom, ato man ginggaplanuhon ang ato ang ga-lecture sa klase no, usahay atong ga-planuhon unsa ang flow sa atong discussion. Same gyapon sa video, even if mobo ra siya nga video, let's say 7 to 15 minutes video, it's also very important nga imong planuhon ang flow sa imong video from start to finish. Unsa mga important elements sa video? Like for example, normally sa akong style is, of course, you begin with an introduction, greetings, and then usahay mo recap ko unsa ang previous nga discussion mo akong sugod sa video mo ko nga previously we discussed about this topic, so gamay nga recap, and then akong i-present dayon ang unsa ang subject matter for that certain video, and then kung naay mga concept kato akong gabuhaton na mo pop out nga mga words, mga terms, dili kay nako gataason ang mga like nakaparagraph gid ang kanang concept, ay ako ra siyang i-explain dayon. Also very important pod to also include probably sa imong video clip some important kaayo nga mga applications sa certain nga problem. Kung problem solving siya, akong gabuhaton katong Zoom nga video akong gagamiton kay ang advantage pa ni sa akong laptop kay touchscreen man gud akong laptop, so napukoy ka ng digital nga pen, so makasulat-sulat ra ko while ga-discuss ko sa Zoom. Pero pwede ra man pod for those of you nga dili gid lisod siya, pwede ra man nga PowerPoint, ordinary PowerPoint lang, pero na feature day pod ang Zoom pod nga pwede nimo ibutang imong naong sa sa video in its, I mean sa PowerPoint mo, background nimo ang imong PowerPoint ba, so ingana. Also, number 3, choose a convenient platform or editor. Daghan pa man kaayo editor sad sa mga video na yung mga Sony Vegas, na pa yung mga Adobe Premiere nga mga pero kato complicated na gid kay to siya. Nag-search magugog mga simple ra nga mga video editor, nang utanahan po ko sa akong mga kaila nga mga editor. KineMaster gid ang pinakadali kay pwede ra siya mobile, pwede ra sa cellphone ra ka mag-edit. Kung gusto po kag simple lang, pwede ka tong Zoom ra i-record nimo imong kaugalingon. Actually dili man gud necessarily nga kanang grabe gid kayo ka pang pro level na gid kayo nga tong editing, no, kay I also understand that most of us are also busy with other things. Dapat tay on top sa ato ang gabuhaton nga pag-lecture, dapat tay other pa nga mga responsibilities. So editing a video is very kanang taas magid na siya og oras nga dapat nimo i-alat, labi na kung bag-o pa kayo ka. So dili necessarily gid nga kanang grabe na gid kay ka pro imong pagka-editor, daghan na gid kay kag mga insertions sa imong video. Kanang just choose lang siguro the important concepts sa imong lecture or sa imong subject matter. So kana siya, no, choose a convenient platform editor. In my case, I'm using Zoom and then KineMaster. Number 4, be yourself and try to be engaging. Dili mas necessarily nga wato nimo ng mga vlogger sa YouTube, no, kana ilang mga personality, kanang example mag hi guys ka diya, or maglakaw-lakaw ka sa dalan, depende ra na sa imo, kung safe ra na then do it, pero of course I won't advise you to do that. Just be yourself. Wala kay dapat awaton nga kung imong personality kay ingani na gid ka nang medyo chill lang imong personality, dili ka kanang grabe ka kanang stagani nga nang engaging igaayo gyud ng personality, dili man sa problema. Siguro let's try lang siguro pod to be engaging in a way nga sa imong lecture video, na kay mga times pod nga mo pause ka for a while and then ask a question sa imong audience. What do you think of this certain concept? Pause ka for pila ka seconds, then proceed na pod ka sa next nga part sa imong lecture. So kato lang, be yourself but try to be engaging. Dili necessarily nga kanang kung dili gid ka hyper nga pagkatao, di mo sa necessarily magpaka hyper pug ka. Yan ano. So in conclusion, a video cannot replace a teacher. So high quality teaching remains critical to excellent student performance. Teacher who uses videos to supplement their teaching instead of replacing it have the most success. So what I've learned during this pandemic, during this online learning scenario that we are in right now, as a teacher pod, me personally should also exert efforts pod. I know the students are exerting efforts to learn. Ako pod as a teacher, as an instructor, I also should exert effort pod in really transmitting the knowledge to the students, because at the end of the day, I realize that one gauge of a good instructor or teacher is not how necessarily kanang knowledgeable you are sa imong um, field of expertise. Well, it's also very important, but one important key is how you are able to transmit the knowledge to your students, to impart the knowledge to your students, and how you are able to also um, spark bitaw the desire sa mga students to learn. You're not just a mere instructor, but you should also be a motivator sa mga students, especially during this time. So that ends my presentation, and daghang salamat.
Thank you very much, Engineer Bahuyo, for sharing that also insightful mga information para sa atong mga teachers regarding sa challenges of what we're having right now. And one of the, I think the biggest challenges that you have mentioned, no, generally is basically how instructors are treading through the changes and advancements in technology and in education as well. So as you've mentioned, dili kailangan nga grabe gid ka bongga ang mga kuan nila, no, ang ilang mga editing. Okay, kay dili man kana ang atong goal. Okay, ang atong goal is to transmit, no, the knowledge that they deserve. No, so salamat kaayo for sharing, and thank you also for saying yes to our invitation for sharing, no, sa ato ang mga instructors din sa atong university. Thank you, Engineer John Ray. Okay, so pause at nakadali. Okay, nasa tayo ko ano, pakita gamay, so that you will have a background or mawiden pa ang inyong background regarding unsa gini si ITS. Okay? Make sure mo. Ano ni? Asa to? Okay, here.
The Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning, or CITL, aims to provide a venue for the faculty to enhance their teaching practices, and what better way to do this than learning from one another? In CITL, we believe that each faculty member has strengths and unique experiences that largely influence their teaching philosophies, strategies, and approaches towards instruction and learning. We have this program called ITS, which stands for Innovative Teaching Series. This brings instructors together to celebrate and share their best teaching practices to their colleagues of similar or related specializations. We also highlight the integration of innovation in their instruction. So instructors will see what makes it efficient and interesting for the learners. These best teaching practices are identified, research or evidence-based practices and pedagogies. Through ITS, the faculty will acquire valuable ideas they might see useful or employable in their classroom.
Okay, so that is ITS, no? So ITS, or Innovative Teaching Series, is basically this program that we have here right now. Kaning isa lang ni siya sa mga daghan nga mga ano pwede pa ma-offer sa ITS sa inyo, ha, kaning sharing the FLP experience. Okay, so our next speaker will be talking to us about how she used online interactive Python notebooks in her FLP classes. So let's give a hand, no, to Professor Juliet P. Kagampang.
Hello? Hello, madunggan ko?
Yes, ma'am. Clear po.
Good afternoon to all my colleagues. Thank you for the invitation for this opportunity to share also what I'm doing in my classes for this first semester. I hope nga dili pa katulgon tanan kay ako mar katulgon ko. That's the reason why all my lecture classes are in the morning. I always ask the class scheduler, please put my lecture classes in the morning kay I'm sleepy in the afternoon. So all my laboratory classes are all scheduled in the afternoon because I am at my peak in the morning time. Okay, so I will be sharing very shortly about how I used interactive Jupyter Notebook in my flexible learning classes. So let me share with you. Can I share now?
Yes, ma'am, you are allowed po to share.
Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am, we can see it na po.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the title of my presentation would be how I used online interactive Jupyter Notebook. So I changed that to Jupyter because it is the accurate name for such a notebook. So later in the sharing, I will be also discussing some of the practices I'm doing in my classes, like the ones they have discussed a while ago, the using of the Zoom, how to create the video, how to edit, and etc. But first, I would like to give you uh, a little background of what Jupyter Notebook is. So the Jupyter Notebook is is a free open source interactive web-based computational notebook that allows you to create and share documents that contain live code, mathematical equations, visualizations, and explanatory text. The Jupyter Notebook is language agnostic by design. The name Jupyter reflects the importance of three of the main scientific computing languages supported by the notebook. And these three languages are Julia, Python, and R. I've been using Python and R, but I'm curious about this language, Julia. It's my first time to encounter this. I'm curious about it because it sounds like my name. I must explore it soon. And the Jupyter Notebook is a living online notebook, letting faculty and students web together computational information like code, data, statistics with narrative, multimedia, and graphs. Faculty can use it to set up interactive textbooks full of explanations and examples, which students can test outright from their browsers. Students can use it to explain their reasoning, show their work, and draw connections between their classwork and the world outside. Scientists, journalists, and researchers can also use it to open up their data, share the stories behind their computations, and enable future collaboration and innovation. So as teachers, we are responsible for many activities, including creating lessons, lectures, courses, assignments, examinations, encouraging engagement of students and performance in the classroom, helping students learn to think critically so they can become lifelong learners and problem solvers, making teaching learning material relevant and meaningful to students, diverse interests and backgrounds, encouraging students to persist with emotional labor such as feedback and communication skill, and trying out teaching and learning practices that improve our ability to do all of these things. In short, as teachers, we design learning environments and experiences. Now, I use Jupyter Notebooks to design learning environments to help support these activities that I've mentioned a while ago. I believe that incorporating Jupyter Notebooks in my teaching has allowed to improve students' understanding of course content, increase student engagement with material and their participation in class, and to make concepts more meaningful and relevant to students' interests. Now, Here are three main advantages of using Jupyter Notebook. First, it contains live code. What do we mean by live code? You can run it on the notebook. You don't have to copy the code from a Word file or a PowerPoint or a PDF file and then open a desktop application like PyCharm or IDLE and paste the code there and then run it, okay? You don't have to do all those hassles. So the code on the notebook, on the Jupyter Notebook, are called live codes, meaning you have there run button which you could click and you could immediately see the output of your code. And it could also include data, graphs, visualizations, and narrative text or explanatory text. And you could post them in together to create an interactive computational story. And second is you can create, edit, save it online or offline. The third is it is easy to share. Now here is a sample Jupyter notebook. So as I have mentioned a while ago, it could include some text. So you could write some instructions here, some descriptions about the code, and then you could insert a code cell and write on this cell the code, and then you can click the run button and you could see immediately the output. So like, for example, in here, you have to plot the this data price list from price list table, and then you include some settings there about the labels of the graphs, and when you run it, that would exactly display here on the output right below the code. Another sample Jupyter notebook is this one, and as you can see here, this is the environment of Jupyter Lab, and you could add text cells, code cells, and so you could put some text there, markdown text actually, or rich text like HTML text. You could set some text to heading 1, heading 2, just like in HTML formatting. And it could also include some hyperlinks so that when you click that, it would lead you to the link or to the web page. And it could also contain LaTeX equations, mathematical equations, such as this one here. And this is another code cell and some text and code cell. So you could put some code cells and text cells randomly, however you want it to appear on your notebook. And when you run the code cell, you select the code cell and click the run button in here, then you will have the output, okay? Now, before I used Jupyter Notebooks, all of my teaching or instructional materials are in PDF, MS Word, or PowerPoint form, as most of you can relate. There is nothing dynamic or interactive about those instructional materials, my previous materials. All my students can do with them is read those texts and figures in the instructional materials, just like what they normally do with textbooks. These materials are not interactive. There are no live codes that you can immediately run and test right there and then for better and faster understanding of the concepts or lessons presented. They have to wait for hours or days when they could use a computer during their laboratory class to encode those codes from the textbooks or your lecture notes so they could run and test them. But now that I converted my instructional materials or lecture notes from these previous forms, the PDF, MS Word, or PowerPoint form to Jupyter Notebooks, my students can easily understand the lessons or concepts I discussed with them because they can immediately run, test, and experiment on the given data and code in the Jupyter Notebook. Now here is, on the left side, okay, an example of my previous PDF lecture materials. So this is PDF form, so everything is in text. And what I did is I created this Jupyter notebook. You can actually create this online or offline. Okay, so you can install the Jupyter notebook to your laptop or to your computer. And if you don't have internet connection, then you can still create, edit, and save your Jupyter notebook online if you have the internet connection or offline. So as you can see here in the Jupyter notebook, we have here, I just copy all this text, no? All the texts are the same, but for the code portion, I inserted a code cell and paste there the code. Okay, so this is for those teaching programming, they can relate to this. This is called a function definition, a Python function definition. And then I have here the function call. So when I want to run this function on a certain data like 10, the input parameter, I will just have to select this cell, the first cell, and click the run button. So in that way, I have executed the function definition, and then I would click the next code cell, the function call, and click the run button, and I have here the output immediately. Okay, so what I did when I was not yet using Jupyter Notebook, I verbally explained to my students, this is code 1, and this is what it does, and this is code 2, and this is what it does. And I'm trying to discuss with them that these two codes, code 1 and code 2, would give the same output, but they have different running time because I am teaching data structures and algorithm analysis. So I'm teaching my students how to design algorithms, design efficient, effective algorithms in terms of memory, computer memory efficiency, and running time of the algorithm or program. So I emphasize to them that these two codes look the same. They give the same output, but they don't have the same running time. And so before I will just discuss it with them verbally, but now I could run the code on the notebook and they could immediately see the difference between the two codes, code 1 and code 2. So after defining those two codes above, code 1 and code 2, I would then use the Jupyter magic command, the percent time it, to test the two codes. And so my students can immediately see the difference of the time efficiency of the two codes, code 1 and code 2. So they could see that the running time of code 1 is this nanosecond, and this code 2 is much shorter. So the conclusion is that code 2 is better than code 1 because it runs fast. And I could not, the student cannot grasp that lesson, that fact, if they don't see it for themselves. Okay, if I'm just telling them stories verbally. So now that I'm using a Jupyter notebook, they could see the output and they could immediately absorb all those lessons. So also in here, I have a code cell where I paste this code to compare different functions in terms of big O efficiency. Okay, for those teaching data structure, they could relate to this. So even the math teachers, I believe they could relate to this. So it's one thing to tell the students that this constant function is the best. Okay, it would run the fastest, while the exponential is it runs longer. But if you're going to show them the code and the execution of that code and of course the output, then they could immediately understand the lesson and they could tweak the data and they tweak the code and they could better absorb the lessons, the concepts you are trying to discuss with them. Now, the Google Colab also hosts Jupyter notebooks. So you could go to the site, you could just Google Colab, and then it would lead you, it would give you some links. And it also, just like Jupyter notebooks, it also could have this on the notebook, HTML, LaTeX, and more. Okay. And one thing good about using Google Colab is that the Jupyter notebooks you create using the Google Colab environment will be automatically stored or saved in your Google Drive. So all you have to do is log into your Google account and go to Google Colab. Once you are logged in or signed in to your Google account, all the Jupyter notebooks that you create will be automatically stored in a separate folder, the Colab notebooks. Okay, and you could easily share that to your students. As you can see here, okay, I have here one Jupyter notebook that I opened using the Google Colab. And notice that we have here a button, share button. You could click this share button and input those Gmail or email of the people you would like to share your Jupyter notebook with. Or you could also copy the link to this and paste it to the, say, Messenger group chat if you want to share it with your students. Okay, so when you create your own Colab notebooks, they are stored, as I mentioned already, and you can easily share your Colab notebooks with coworkers or friends, allowing them to comment on your notebooks or even edit them. Before, my students submitted the source codes with comment descriptions or submit the code documentation on a separate MS Word file. And also, my exams or quiz questionnaires are also either in Microsoft Word or PDF file, which I open in the ICT lab using Land School. And then I share my screen to my students, and they could take the exam on papers, writing their answers on papers. But but this time I converted all my questionnaires into Jupyter Notebook, and they could input their answers on the code cells, like when I'm having my hands-on programming exam or quizzes, and I could collect them later, and I would ask them to rename the file, the Jupyter Notebook file, using their family name or their full name and their section, so I could easily identify that this Jupyter Notebook is the answer for this exam by this student. And then when it's easy for the job of checking those programs would be easier for me, because all I have to do is open the Jupyter Notebook online or offline, and then run those code cells that they have on their Jupyter Notebook. And then I could rate them, I could give them scores. Rather than before, what I did is I opened the source code submitted by my students to a desktop application like PyCharm or IDLE or Eclipse, and then run the, the code from there. So this time around, it's not that way anymore. I just have to open the Jupyter Notebook, and everything is there, including the run button. And also the assignments of my students, their projects, they're also submitted in Jupyter Notebook form. And they could include not just the source code, answer of the students, but also the explanatory text. I require them to pass not just the source code, but also to write something to explain what that code is calculating or computing. And then they could include also on the notebook some labels, animations, GIF, figures, and of course the output are all in the Jupyter Notebook. Now, later I will give you a demo on using the Jupyter Notebook, but This time, let me just share with you some of the things that I practice in my flexible learning classes. So as already shared by Sir Bahuyu a while ago about how to create lecture videos, I also create my lecture videos using OBS, and I edit those videos using Filmora. Thanks to my CPE colleagues, we are sharing ideas, and I learned also from them about OBS, Filmora, and I also use the XP Pen to include handwritings on the lecture videos to provide more explanations or illustrations like you are writing on the uh, whiteboard, okay? Before you are writing on the whiteboard, but this time you cannot do that. So you need to write something on your video lectures. So you can do that using the XP Pen. Before I use the XP Pen, I use the Zoom video recording, and as mentioned also by Engineer Bahuyo, you can you can create lecture videos using the Zoom, of course, and you can use the mouse to write something, but it's difficult when you are writing using the mouse. So I really bought an XP Pen, plug and play XP Pen, so I can easily write uh, on my lecture videos, okay? And then I create also my own YouTube channel where I uploaded all my lecture videos and posted the video links in our Edmodo class page and in our Messenger group chat. And also for the instructional materials, I posted that also in my USTEP, in our USTEP class page. I conducted synchronous live classes via Zoom and students' PIT group discussions via Zoom breakout rooms. So these are some screenshots of our activities, Zoom meeting. So when we start our Zoom meeting, I would have them all in the main room and then give them some instructions. And then I would create breakout rooms like what I did here. If my students are 30, if I have a total of 30 students, I would create 15 rooms because I want them to be paired, two students in one room. Okay, as you can see here in the screenshot, there are two students in one room. And then after giving them instructions, I would open their rooms and they would immediately be directed to their separate breakout rooms. And I could hop or jump from one room to another breakout room to visit my students, each group, what they're doing. And this is one example or one screenshot of my visit to room number 3 of my PIT group work Zoom meeting. And we did this PIT on design thinking. And there, at the end of the 1 hour session, they should be able to create a design of the prototype for their client, classmate, partner. And these are some of the prototypes that they have submitted. So it's a 3D object, not just a drawing. During the PIT, they would just design or sketch some designs there. And then after the session, I would require them to build the prototype. And a day after, they would submit photos of their prototype in different angles. So as an instructor, you could join or jump from one room to another, and you could return to the main room during the Zoom breakout rooms. Now, the feedback of my students is that they suggested to me that we would use Google Meet because kuan ra daw kanang gamay ra ang kaon sa ilang data when they use Google Meet. But unfortunately, this feature, the breakout rooms, this feature is not available for when you are using the free account sa Google Meet. So, but in Zoom, if you have your free account in Zoom will have this feature. It's available. So that's why I'm using the Zoom account instead of the Google Meet, okay, applications. I use the Zoom app for the breakout rooms. And okay, so I will proceed now to my demo. Okay, can you see my screen? So as you can see here, it's local host. So I created this Jupyter notebook offline. So what you're going to do is you could go to jupyter.org. I actually have a demo tutorial on this, which I uploaded in my YouTube channel and shared with my students. So they could learn about creating, editing, and saving Jupyter notebooks. So once you are here, you could just scroll down and go to this part, the Jupyter notebook. And you could install the notebook to your laptop or to your computer so that when you don't have internet connection, you could still create, edit, and do whatever you want with your Jupyter notebook. Or you could try it in your browser. Okay, so this is the online way of creating or opening your Jupyter notebook. And then you click this one. So okay, let's just jump to something that I already opened to save time. Okay, so this is the online environment of Jupyter Lab. And you could just close this one. Then you can open File, New, Notebook, or you could just click the plus. Okay. So you could, as I have mentioned a while ago, Jupyter Notebook is programming language agnostic by design. So you could use Python kernel, R kernel, or the Julia kernel. Okay, so what I mean is the programming language. Okay, so you select that if you want to use Python kernel. So that's indicated there that you're using the Python kernel. And then you could choose markdown text, or you could choose code cell. Okay, you write this code like x gets 5, and then you say print x. So there you have the output. Okay, so that is just a simple examples. I will not discuss some more because I only have, I think nag-overtime na ko, more than 20 minutes na. Anyway, I can share with you the link to my tutorial on this. So you can save it, okay, save the notebook, or you could download it, okay, so that you'll have a copy in your local drive, or you can export it. And then another thing is just quickly Google Colab. Can you see the Google Colab? Okay. So one thing good about Google Colab is that, as I've already mentioned, all the Jupyter notebooks that you create will be automatically saved in your Google Drive. Okay, so like what I have here. Okay, this is my Google Drive, and I have here the Jupyter notebooks files, and you could just open any of that. Let's try to open my exam, the midterm, this one. Ouch. Wait. Okay, I'll just show to you some examples of my students' work. Not logged in. I'm logged in. Okay, so can you see this? This is one of my students' work. So as I've mentioned, you can include or you can insert animations, some text, some images, and then their assignment is to discuss and compare, contrast, array, stack, queues, and then write their essay here, their explanation, and have some code here to demonstrate the operations for array, stack, and queues, which are data structures. Okay, and another one, let me show you another example. Wait. Okay, here is one example of my students. She submitted this for the midterm grade. Okay, so again, there are animations, text, figures, images, animations on the insertion and deletion operation of array structure, then some code for insertion, operation, and deletion, then some GIF there, and then animation on how to perform insertion and deletion or the push and pop operations for stack structure, some code which you can run. Okay. Wait. And this is my YouTube channel. So I have here all the lecture videos. And so this is one example of my lecture video that I am writing on using the XP pen to further discuss and explain the concept. Okay. And lastly, I would like to share another document. Okay, so these are screenshots of my Edmodo class page for this course, CPE 211 Section A. So I have the syllabus there, always at the top of the page, so they can easily see the syllabus as a guide. And then when we start the semester, I uploaded a welcome message on our Edmodo and also in our Messenger group chat. And then I posted here a welcome text, lecture material, PDF, and also the videos, the assignment post, getting to know you. So I will know their internet connectivity or their gadget resource, who doesn't have any laptop or phones to use. And I shared with them the jupyter.org and the Google Colab links and the latest Python installer and some assignments requiring them to install Python plugin in Eclipse IDE so they could compare running Python codes in desktop application Eclipse IDE and later on using Jupyter Notebook. So they said it's much better to use Jupyter Notebooks than the desktop application like Eclipse or PyCharm or any other, or the IDLE installed in our laboratory. So these are my lecture video post. And the tutorial, this is the link to my tutorial on how to create Jupyter Notebook. And some assignment to create Jupyter Notebooks. So I required my students to create Jupyter Notebooks and have their assignments, projects submitted in the form of Jupyter Notebooks. And okay, so these are some lecture and announcement of our Zoom meeting and lecture videos with writings on them. And also quiz announcement, and then wellness check, because you have this feature in Edmodo. Okay, you could check how your students are feeling, and most of them voted, I'm struggling. Okay, this was September 22. That is of course understandable for students at that time. Even faculty members are struggling too because of the new normal. And then the quiz post, lecture video post, and then I also require them to watch the managing stress at home, learning this life skill to manage stress, hosted or organized by Victory Cagayan de Oro. I required them to watch and to submit an essay so that they will also know how to manage stress during this time. And I give them some instructional materials on how to mount the Google Drive to Google Colab so that all their Jupyter notebooks created in the Google Colab environment will be automatically stored in the Google Drive. And okay, so these are my lecture videos and some of our Zoom virtual class meetings. And after our the PIT on design thinking using the breakout rooms, my students told me that it's the first time that they have experienced the Zoom breakout rooms. And one student of mine said, "Lingaw siya, ma'am." And they're really having fun doing the Zoom breakout rooms, the group discussion using the breakout rooms. And before, I used the Slack application, and we do our PIT on design thinking, of course, face to face. These are some of their prototypes, and I also have this giving away of prizes to top 3 or top 2 students, and I give them some t-shirts, those extra t-shirts nga, of course, new t-shirts that I have. So that would be a good encouragement to them. And during our meeting, katong nag-meeting pa me for this sharing FLT, when Dr. Ascanio shared nga magkuan daw siya, mag house to house daw siya, og adto sa iyang mga estudyante, iyaging adto niya mga estudyante sa ilang mga balay, og tan-awon gid niya sa hitsura, and give the prizes in person. So I was that was my problem. How could I give prizes to my students in the same way I did katong tuon na nga face-to-face pa? Maghatag ko og mga prizes gyud nga t-shirts or USB to my students, just to encourage them to really do their best during the PIT. So what I did is GCash. Okay, so I already have a GCash, and I'm gonna send GCash prizes to my students next week after all the submissions are complete. No, so I will require them to vote for the best design or the best prototype, and then determine the winners. Okay, so I think, and also I have this another problem that I encountered is that how could how could I conduct online quizzes na sure ko nga ang akong mga estudyante sila gid ang nag-take sa exam, sa quiz, and that sure ko nga makita na ako ang ilang screen, wa sila nagsuroy-suroy sa lain nga mga websites looking for answers to my exam questions. So I discovered this app. I don't know if you have heard of this already. It's called Discord, and it's like a Slack and Zoom in one, and you could actually allow the participants in one channel to share their screen, their computer display, and also turn on their cameras. So just like in land school, you could see their screens and you could see their faces. So I think that's all, and I'm sorry nga na-extend ko og beyond 20 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma'am Juliet, for that technically enriching sharing. No, I'm pretty sure half of our participants right now are coming from mga kaning mga courses that would involve programming. So I'm pretty sure daghan gud kayo sila nakuha sa imuhang hala pwede di ay maka laboratory even if naka flexible learning ta because of that you've shared no katong Python no kato siya. Salamat kaayo ma'am atong pag-share sa program.
Thank you so much also, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You're welcome. Okay, so now we are down to our last speaker. So let me allow me to share my screen again so that I can introduce the speaker properly. So our final speaker will be talking to us about how he reinforced students' learning during his live sessions. So let us welcome Mr. Giovanni B. Caburin from the College of Science and Technology Education and Senior High School. Sergio, can you please unmute your ano?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, nadaot lang galit, nakulbaan ko, ginoo ko. Sir Arvin, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes. By the way, good afternoon, USTP system. So, I hope you can hear me, Sir Arvin. Madunggan ba?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, thank you very much. Sorry about that one, guys, because I have a problem with the connection, Mango. That's why I let Sir Arvin actually do the presentation. I mean, I do the talking. Sir Arvin will do the slide. So, good afternoon, everyone. By the way, I'm Gio Kagurin. So, my topic for today, I'm going to share and how I reinforce students' learning during live sessions. So, in this manner, actually, I would like to thank also to Dr. Ascanio for the module. So, Engineer Bahoyo for the video and for Ma'am Kagampang for the Jupyter Notebook. But the only thing I have actually, ladies and gentlemen, is module. Maybe I have better video I only get from YouTube. And I'm sorry, ma'am, regarding the Jupyter Notebook. Marag dili pa yun ako siya magamit. Pero ganahan ko sa Northern Lights. But what I'm going to present you is actually Aurora yun siya on what I have and what I did for the students. Because ladies and gentlemen, the problem ang good with our lugar is actually daghan may cases for COVID. That's why I do the work at home. So whatever what we call this, whatever resources that I have, that's the thing lang yun akong ginagamit. But I hope katong uban yun that they usually plainly use module and live session, so you can bear it with me. So by the way, again, I'm Mr. Gio Kagurin. I'm teaching physical education and health for senior high. I have 10 sections, and for biology, for science teacher, I have 4 sections. So all in all, I have 10 section with 2 preparation. So dili po ko busy, ma'am and sir. But of course, remember, i-remind lang nato ourselves that our job is actually teaching. So that we need to focus on that. So next slide, sir. Arvin, thank you very much. So how do I maintain the 30 of over 40 attendance in non-graded live sessions? So usually dili siya ganaog yun og actually ninaog lang siya gamay due to the heavy rain. Niabot na siya og what we call this 25, but more on to 25 dili na gyud. So how do I do that? I don't know if you experience this one. If the students cannot attend what we call this the live session, the problem with that is daghan kay na sila og pangutana. I want to imagine, ladies and gentlemen, that I have 500 students. Even half of them na mag-message, unsaon na akong tubag, mubuto akong cellphone. So what did I do in order for the students to join the live session? And remember, this is not a graded. Di bali nga like, walay labot attendance as we all know. But how did I do it? How did I do it? So giunsa na ko siya. So I have, yeah, next Sir Arvin, please, thank you. So my 3 ways is this. So I hope makarelate yun ang uban, no? So number 1 is how did I design the curriculum? I would like to thank also the CDIO, the Conceive, Design, Implement, and Operate. In them, I learned much because by nature, I'm not a education na di bali graduate. I'm still on the verge of di bali in education system because I'm enrolled in 5 subjects for certificate of teaching. Next is the how do I engage with the students? That's the second one. And the last one is I added what we call flavor. Pero kanang flavor later na siya para surprise. Okay, Sir Arvin, next please. So what did I do with the design curriculum? On the first day, on the first week pa lang, I do the Facebook nga live session. So with that manggod at the school is mas dali ang FB live session, and I actually do the orientation. So if you can see it in the what we call this in the kuan in your screen. So nana dito ang course information, requirements and activities. So everything that I laid into them, and including the grading system. So sir, question, how did you do it? Yun sa nimo siya, sir. I make this one as a reminders at the end of the session. In short, mura na ko siya pakonsensyahon sila. In what way? Of course, example next, Sir Arvin, please. Because I do the orientation, so remember to remind the students every time. So akong gabuhaton is I'm going to send this one all the time. So in this manner, tanaw ninyo, nanay red, nanay blue, because this is not graded man. So naan siya mo sulod or dili. Pero what I did, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to flash this one every time silang group chat. Ako na ipakita tanan perminte. I want to remind everyone that we are now in week 7 or nata sa week 3. So mutanaw sila sa week 3 because they need to be reminded every time because in senior high manggod, in respect to the CST because I am from the CST but I highlighted this only this what we call this feature only sa kwan lang siya sa senior high. So every time example before one day before our class, what I did is I sent this one to their what we call this email di ba sa group chat. So what I did is ako lang nang i-highlight ang unsa natanga week. So makita nila ay kwan man di ay ni siya performance task 40%. So I need to go. So murag kuan na siya ba ang mahitabuan na is kinahanglan ba gyud ni ang ngano kinahanglan ni siya. Example with this matter. If you're going to be absent in this 4th week until to the 8th week, I think it before the midterm. The problem with that if you skip that one is there will be problem in your innovative task. And remember that innovative task is 20% of your grade. Isa lang ka sayo pwede siya mogama imong grade. Maybe to me, sa kuas, because I laid everything and it's up to them if they're going to attend, but I also provide module. What I did is I usually encourage them because the problem, if there will be problem in your performance innovative task, the problem is it can affect the 20% of your grade. That's what we call pakonsensya. So that's my term. But of course, di ba dili man nato sila mapugos, we cannot force them to attend. But at least I reminded them of what would be the possible consequence if they have kaya man day nila pero dili. Kay lisod kay in my point I don't know if you experienced in the first 3 weeks, if you have 500 students, 100 were going to message in a day. The problem with that is how morbitog isa-isahon nimo siya ang inding high blood si ma'am ug sister. So, I know nakaagi pod mo ana. In a way, ako niagis ako. Pero that's why in this one, in my first part, the design itself will actually give them a idea. Now, if I'm not be present, so therefore, I would miss something that can affect my grade. And I want to remind everyone that this is not a graded attendance. Again, so di bale ang gibuhat na ko ni because I don't have the technology, therefore my own effort will give them the urge to be in my class every day. I did every week po di ay sis ko. Grabe po na every day. Makonsensya ta. Next, Sir Arvin. The second one is how do I do this student engagement, especially in a 1-hour session. In senior high, even in college, we only have 1 hour. Because I observed pag 1 hour 30 minutes in the first 3 weeks, ang ending, what happened is i-off na nila ng camera. Nenay uban ana nasakpan pa gyud namo kay nag-CR di ay. Klaro kay ma mag-CR sa ko wala na off ang kuan, microphone. So at least 1 hour okay naman siguro, it's just the overview. So we start everything to prayer. Diyan magyud ta, of course we will pray not only to end this pandemic and also for the safety of the students. Number 2 is motivation. Usually I start my class in a motivation. Usually I use the word relevance. Kana bitong what is this topic in relevant to your course and in relevance to what happened in the society today? So usually I gave them that insight because in physical education and health, as you know in the past, and there's reports that 62% of the patient under COVID is actually mild. But the rest of that is actually considered na siguro as moderate and what we call severe. But for us to survive COVID, if we have, at least we have mild symptoms lang. And maybe it also depends of your body. So that's maybe my most motivation to the students. And next, this is the most crucial part. I review their previous activities. So dito nila makitaan. di kan sala ay sayop di ay ito. It's big example if di ba by reviewing the previous activities, ma-evaluate nila ilang self. Is it good to be in the class or okay lang ba dili? So dito nila siya mura bitaw ila bitaw they're trying to reflect into themselves na kinahanglan gid siguro na kumuto nga kung kaya. And remember, wala man may pugsanay pero at least makita na ako dito halos gid they reach to at 6:30 per classroom. Next is we're going to discuss module at least for 20 minutes. 20 minutes of the time. They vary the overview only. Next is thoughts. What I did, ladies and gentlemen, is actually delete yung ko gapa Q&A. The teacher will ask and the student will going to answer. The problem ana, ladies and gentlemen, mag-off na sila kada og cam. Or worst, mulib na sila tanan og kalit. I've tried it on 1 week. When I asked them, okay, let's have a question. I'll give you, please give me the answer. So ang problem nang gawas tanan, ay Ginoo ko. Kay nan graded man sad good. So murag wala na to siya apil murag in that point na realize na ko I think it's not Q&A. Maybe it's a thought. What would be their learning their thought in this module? So usually I do games sometimes. Mga kwan lagod na games, mga ginagmay lang pabibo. It's because dili man ko pareha ni Dr. Ascanio nga magpahatag og kuan kanang what we call this kanang grocery package or ni Ma'am na GCash. Ang kaya ra gyud nako gyud is mag-games lang yun. I'm sorry about that, but congratulations sa manghatag og load. Gamay pa gyud tag sweldo and pandemic. And this is the next one. The last one is I gave the overview for the next lesson. So what I did is, guys, if you're going to attend, the problem with that is this. Because the curriculum design is actually from module 1 to module 8 is actually they are stitched. They are together. So with what happened if they were not going to attend, they will maybe miss that thing that actually pwede po mo gamay in lang grade. Usually that's how I discuss with my students. Usually mura bitag pa-consensyon lang ako because we're using Google Meet. So I'm not using any kuan mang good, but luckily in my part actually I'm quite happy also with the students because they're too eager maybe to join us in our activity. Okay, thank you very much. And Sir Arvin, next slide, please. Okay, napade. So this one, sa student engagement. So what I did in sa the previous is na sila yung I what we call this, I highlighted a slide. So in this manner, ma-review nila ilang answer way back. Previous week. So in this manner, kabalo sila, di bali, by the next activity or the present activity or the present week, they know exactly what to do. So I think, and for me, it's very important also to be in my class. It's because para ma-correct na itong what we call this, mga need to correct na mga modules, especially their wrong answers or somehow they take it negatively. It's because ang classmate lang nagbalita. So that's my point. So in this one, this I'm going to show you this. Actually, daghan ni sila. So in this manner is moabot siya 37 ang pinakadako. I think duhara og tulura ang absent ani. So next is, so these are all of the live session is actually garan ragid siya og 30 students could present in the room. So at least 10 if they have questions is gamay na lang ang ako di ba the queries of the student at least matubag nagsakto if the problem dili sila manunga and they're going to actually ask you di ba 100 students, so the problem is it's a burden for us the faculty. So maybe Kosakwa is more gito that's what I did, the curriculum design. And next is how do I do the student engagement? So how did I run the class in 1 hour session? And the next one is, sir, number 3 is fun. So this is how I do in my class. So Sir Arvin, can you turn on your microphone, please?
Yes.
Sir Arvin, kindly count 1 to 5, 1 to 5 descending. So 5 to 1.
5,
Sir,
4.
wait lang, sir. Kajut lang, sir.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sige.
And start.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Asa na ka?
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to start. Ladies and gentlemen, hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. So, ohayo gozaimasu. Thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. So what I did, sir, can I have the next slide? Yes, because I don't have any resources or even technology. So what I did is usually these two actually ang primary feature when I do the class. So I don't know exactly if you can relate it to me. Namagwit times that they actually ang students is makitanta nila gabi ka monotonous og face og background. I don't know kung nakakuan ba ko, but one of my student tell me na, sir, actually may mong naong bitaw murag ang nag-change ra gyud sa mo sir kay murag yung content, pero imong naong kay maura gyapon. So can we do something about it? So what I did is actually I have my costume man in cosplay. So kato na ang gigamit. I think one way na siya di bali maka-excite ang estudyante nga. Usa na pud kay suoton na pud ni sir. I don't know kung ka-relate ba mo no. Pero inaana, this is the sir, can I have the next slide? Okay. Sir, okay. So, oh, nine lang excuse me sir, wala. Actually, ang point is because of the three ways that I do, sila na ang the students were the one will going to ask kung magklase ba migdili. And aside from that, sir, can what we call this, mingaon mi sa imong cosplay, sir. Especially exam man karon. So, mura gamingaon daw sila and ko wait lang kay mag-exam man ta bawal ang live. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is just an added fun, but I think importante gyapon ang atong content for the live session. Mo man ang ako lang kay I don't have the technology or anything or can create video because I'm here in my room, in my house. 4 times 14 quarantine. So, upat na ko ka 14 days diri. Neto lang ko eskwelahan for a papers. So, wala ko'y mabuhat yun. But what I do is whatever resources that I have, gagamito na ko. So, maybe sa ko aman siguro, I think one of the siguro the students, mura bitag exciting daw para sila nga mosulod. And ko thank you very much. Wala po ganito nagbarong ko with because buwan ng wika pero di na to nang ipakita kato na lang yung duha. Okay, madugay ta. Okay, so I don't know dili man maybe because my personality, ladies and gentlemen, is playful yung ko nga inside ningon pagani ni Sir Engineer Bahuyo, be with yourself, and that's what I did. So what I just add feature but I never sacrifice the content. Mo gyud na ang permitin nako i-remember. So, next slide, Sir Arvin. So, in my 3 ways, I think sa kuha, how I reinforce students learning during live session is well-prepared curriculum. So, mo to siya gina-remind ang estudyante pero unsa ba ang sa sunod na activity. Engaging live session is 1 hour lang na siya, but what we call this the meat of what we call this the meat of the that module is na part na siya aside from the games and the fun that we experience, because I believe man sa ladies and gentlemen no nga ang mga estudyante karon example in senior high there are 10 subjects, then PE is only 1.75, then anahong ni sir kay minuto no so lahi na sad para malingaw sila. Actually I believe it helped especially in their mental health. Di ba? Na makatabang sila, excited sila mosulod sa klase, di sige pag yun sila katawa. But remember, di na po na ako sacrifice ang content. And the last one, fun. I believe effective, with these 3 is actually my formula for effective learning, flexible learning process. So thank you very much. So I hope naatay na kwan. I don't know, dagan siguro makarelate sa ko except sa cosplay. So mura man gyud ang sa ko, but I think it's very important to inject more fun, especially in this pandemic that students are in their house, di ba, in the 4 walls of their room. So I think and I believe fun must be part of every session that we're going to have. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Sir Gio, for that no? Very fun-filled nga nga sharing. No, gipaihap-ihap ako nimo then paggawas di mo inguna na din ka. Okay. So no, but it's worth note-taking that we are considering also our students and that our students are actually human beings. So dili sila robot, no. So this is the reason why this kind of session that we are having is also aiming to remind us that behind the innovative ideas that we have is our passion for our students. No? So let me also remind everyone. Okay, wait. Let me share. Okay. That in this sharing, the purpose of this is to have collegial sharing, no? So we learn best from each other, Manggod, no? And this is an opportunity for us to pick out the best practices we believe may apply for us depending sa context atong course o sa ato ang students po. So with this, we build in each other's ideas and we capture what may apply for us and modify it in a way that will make us that will make it, no, uniquely ours. Okay? Kaya basin unya og na mo'y nakita ba nga kanabitang spark of inspiration, no? La, pwede din nag-ingon ana, no? Mag-ingon ana kahako total akong personality fan man ko. So basin pwede na ko awaton ang approach ni Sir Gio, no? Okay? Or kung kuan man gani kung in terms of kanang gusto kag mga unsa ba kaha nga mahatag og motivation, mga extrinsic motivation sa atong students, perhaps we can take note from our previous speakers, no? So I hope that in this session you are inspired to be innovative in your practices and also not forget to help our students and always look at it in a humanizing way. Atong flexible learning, even though we are just interacting with them through the screen, importante gihapon nga i-consider nato that behind the screen is a human being as well, no? So mao nang importante kaayo ni atong gathering pod karon, no? And I hope nga kaning gathering nato karon nalingaw pod mo, okay? Nalingaw pod mo sa sharing sa atong mga kauban. Okay, so salamat kaayo Sir Gio, and to our other speakers, to Dr. Cordolo, to Ma'am Juliet, and also to Engineer John Ray. Okay, so namin nadunggan nga mga chismis, no? Nga kanang recommended yun din sila sa mga deans. Okay, so akong gi-flash karon sa screen mga ngalan nga gi-recommend sa ilang deans, sa ilang directors. We are inviting you po that for the next leg of our sharing the FLT experience, if you say yes, we would be very happy to hear from you and to also, you know, have this opportunity to learn from you as well. Nga ato pong uban nga mga maestra makakuan po sila, makakuha po sila inspiration from you. So istorya lang ta, pohon-pohon, and hopefully makuha na mo ang inyong yes para pod nga ko ano magtinabangay ta para aning flexible learning nato. Dili ra kayo siya bugat, no? Okay, so karon amo nang i-present ang amo ang certificate of recognition. So let me just read the citation. By the way, this certificate is you will be given kani mga speakers nato, no? You will be given a hard copy of this with the signature of the president, of course. Okay, so University of Science and Technology of Southern Philippines awards this certificate of recognition to Dr. Cordolo P. Ascanio II for his valuable contribution as resource speaker during the Sharing the Flexible Learning Teaching Experience, an innovative teaching series conducted by the Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning for the USTP system, faculty members on October 28, 2020 via Zoom cloud meetings given this 28th day of October 2020 at the University of Science and Technology of Southern Philippines, CM Recto Avenue, Lapasan, Cagayan de Oro City. Signed, Engineer Eileen Amora Shera, CITL Program Head for Innovative Teaching Series and CITL Director, Dr. Amparo Vedua Dinagsao. So let's give a hand for Dr. Cordolo P. Ascanio. Next certificate, same citation, goes to Engineer John Ray B. Bahuyo. Okay, virtual clap naman. Okay. Next certificate with the same citation is given to Professor Juliet P. Kagampang, MSCA. All right, and then we have Mr. Giovanni B. Cagurin, RN. Ako pa din siyang ikuan, no, sir, at ato pa rin yung ikuan kay MN, di ay na siya Master of Nursing, dili na siya Master of Arts in Nursing. Okay, so that is it for our session this afternoon. Salamat kaayo sa kuano sa inyong pag-participate, and also we are also inviting the new faculty, okay, for the faculty onboarding and career upstart seminar this October 30. So kato mga new faculty na to nga nag-join karon and you receive the invitation from the HR or from us in CITL. See you there, no? See you on the 30th of October. Okay? So before we will end this session, may I please request everybody to turn on their cameras. Yes, also. After this one, I will also share a bit lang yun kayo sa itong evaluation, no? Or before na natin mag-pictorial siguro, sige, ako na lang i-share. Kaya para diretso-diretso na ang tanan. Okay, so we would like to encourage everyone to respond to our evaluation. So as what you can see here, we will be sending you the link, by the way, in our chat. And also, nakapagami ihatag pagod sa inyong email. Okay, we would like to encourage everyone to respond to our evaluation because this would really help us a lot and would really also give praises and suggestions to the speakers as well, no? Okay, malay nato no susunod again sila na pod ang napagimakuha nato no nga other speakers at least maka-share na pod sila mga insights. Okay, so pag makita ninyo din sa akong gi-share. Okay, so you are seeing now the evaluation. So, naalang tayo tulo ka kuan din no important nga questions. Makita na to, I plan to apply what I learned in sharing flexible teaching experience session. So, inyo habang giplano nga i-apply to inyong na kuan na learn. Okay, the colleagues who shared their experiences were inspiring. Okay, and then the sharing session was insightful and helpful for me. So we would like to receive your feedback, your honest feedback on that. And then we also have here, please provide the Office of CiTL of any sharing of flexible learning teaching experience session topic you would like to hear and participate. So pwede po dayon mo mag-suggest sa inyong mga gusto nga sunod ninyo madunggan, no? Okay, please provide praises for comments for the sharing of. So naatay kung ano sections like for Dr. Cordolo Ascanio, Professor Juliet Kagampang, Engineer John Ray Bahuyo, and then Mr. Gio Cagorin. So praises and comments of their sharing. Okay? And natin pinakalas ganahan ko ani, do you have a colleague in your college or department whom you know has an innovative and engaging way of teaching that we might invite? Please recommend and write their names here. Kay amoa na silang ibutang sa amoang listahan o mo na silang kuan pagasturyahan o i-invite na namo and hopefully makuha na mo ilang yes. Okay. Sige, so that would be all for the invitation. Again, the link is provided in the link is provided in the chat sa atong evaluation rather. So now it's time for us to turn on our camera so that we can have our virtual pictorial. So request na ko ang tanan. Okay. Smile lang din ta kadjot. Sir Carl, nagkamulo ka o kuan. Okay. Sige. Smile sa kita kadjot no. Kay daghan kaayo ta. Bibo kay ni siya nga session. Ba, we almost reached 200. Okay, so let me.
Pero mo man gula kay forward sa ako. Ingon daw siya kay nangatana daw siya sa imo.
Okay. Daghan kaayo ta, bibo kaayo. Salamat kaayo sa inyong kuan. Salamat kayo sa inyong participation and we are looking forward for the next session na unta lahi na pod nga mga faces ang makita nga mag-share.
Sige pa.
Also, you can unmute yourselves now if you want. If we would like to share.
The host is not allowing.
Okay, wait. Okay, wait. Okay, you can also unmute yourselves if you would like to comment or nabamoy mga important kayo nga insight nga inyong na-gather.
Salamat sa tanan.
Salamat everyone. Salamat to our
Okay na.
deans, vice chancellors, chair.
Thank you.
Thank
Salamat
you.
Stratcom, Ma'am Anne Lorraine.
Thank you.
Salamat
Thank
campus
you.
directors.
Thank you, CITL,
Hinaut
for this
po.
wonderful sharing.
Salamat
Join
po.
for the next session po.
Salamat sa
Thank you,
tanan.
Dean.
Salamat. Thank you.
Thank you, campus directors.
And team.
Thank
See
you,
you for the next
CITL.
session po.
You're welcome po.
Thank you.
Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you, CITL.
Salamat po.
Hello.
Thank you so much, Ma'am and Sir.
God bless po. Please stay well, everyone.
CITL.
Thank you so much.
Thank you po.